Olis, welcome back to my channel. How are you guys? I hope you guys are doing amazing. Today I'm gonna be doing a sit down video. During quarantine, I was doing more of these type of videos and it's something that I genuinely enjoy doing. So if you like these type of videos, make sure you comment down below and hit the like button and also subscribe if you haven't yet. Today's video topic is regarding being an empath, and we're gonna answer the question today: am I an empath or a pendeja? A very harsh words, okay? And I don't genuinely mean it in a malicious intent. I mean it in a ponte las pilas y ponte en chinga about your business type of way. But let's just start off with, some of us might not be familiar with what an empath is, and it's actually a psychological term that has, I feel like, transitioned into like a spiritual type of term, where a lot of people who consider themselves spiritual have some knowledge in attachment styles, in empathy, in narcissism. And I feel like just, general population nowadays is somewhat familiar with this terminology, but they might not know what it entails. And so we're here to talk about it, and we're here to talk about my experiences in feeling as an empath and just how I have navigated through those waters and how I maybe have observed people around me use that terminology, rely on it too much, just not work towards being the best version of what an empath might be. You know what I mean? Okay, so we're gonna start with the definition of an empath. We go on the Google and we define an empath. An empath is a person highly attuned to the feelings and emotion of those around them. Their ability to discern what others are feeling goes beyond empathy, defined simply as the ability to understand the feelings of others, and extends to actually taking on those feelings, feeling what another person is feeling at a deep emotional level, according to Very Well Mind, okay? And then some of the signs of being an empath is questions, which you answer to, which I feel like, I don't know, we'll see how you guys, let me know down below if you're an empath and if you identify with any of these. But basically, do you find yourself taking on the stress of others? Have you been accused of being too sensitive in the past? Do you feel overwhelmed in crowded spaces? And would others describe you as empathetic? This is amongst other signs that you're an empath. I've also heard that you're like ultra sensitive to like sensory, like hear, touch, smell, and that type of thing, that you feel drained in large crowds. To me, I feel like we all are empathetic to a certain extent, you know what I mean? We all have those type of qualities, but some of us to like a larger extremity, I made myself some matcha because I was parched. So good, delicious and nutritious. Anyhow, as you guys can tell, como todo, there's pros and cons to being an empath, right? Our job as someone who identifies as being an empath or being more than the average empathetic is to take that knowledge and to improve on it and make the pros outweigh the cons. Because if you notice, a cons is you might find it hard to make time for yourself. That's a big con, okay? Especially if you have goals and you have things that you want to accomplish. You do not want to find it hard to have time for yourself, for your peace of mind, for your goals, and for the things that you want to accomplish, porque estás tan preocupada por los demás, you know what I mean? And that's like probably the biggest con that I see in being an empath in the past, was that I was hyper aware of everybody around me and their needs, and wanting to fill them and wanting to be there for them and wanting to be a good friend, a good daughter, a good sister, a good partner, all those kinds of things. And the last person whose needs I would address would be mine. O sea, make it make sense, because we're on this world to live our life, and the most important person in that life is yours. You are the main character of your life. And so that's where I think that's the biggest hurdle. Another thing is that although you might be hypersensitive to people's energy, to whether they're good or bad for you, de nada te sirve to know whether or not a person will be good or bad for you if you have not broken your patterns of being with people who are bad for you, in a way. Like, if you get what I'm saying. Yes, it's good to be ultra sensitive and hyper aware of people's intentions towards you, but if you don't do anything to stop them from having access to you, or if you don't do anything to stop them from being around you, if you don't do anything to set boundaries from them, then de nada te sirve knowing whether or not a person is good for you. And that's where the empath or pendeja things comes along on my regarding this topic, because I have been an empathetic pendeja. I've been just, you know, over riddled with everybody else's problems and things like that. Another thing where I noticed is I really dislike gore, and I really dislike seeing people like fall or like and hurt themselves. I mean, I guess sometimes it's kind of like funny in a way, you know, like dad humor, but like where people are genuinely hurt or people showing me their wounds, I don't like to see that, because I do genuinely, like, I get the sensation that it's my limb that's been hurt, or that it's, you know, me that's going through like a hard physical experience, and I don't like that. And so I've learned that I have to set my boundaries as an empathetic person and avoid when people are trying to show me something that happened to them, or avoid that type of stimuli, because it doesn't feel good to me. And I don't know, if something doesn't feel good to me and I can avoid it in some way, then I'm gonna avoid it, porque the true chingazos de la vida that are gonna come towards me, the true attacks towards me, that's what I'm gonna have to deal with. And that's what I should reserve my energy for, is for when things are actually happening to me. And so setting boundaries in that aspect, but setting boundaries with social media. Let's put Twitter as an example. So you'll go on Twitter and you're gonna see all these types of things that are going on around the world. You'll see people's opinions that may not necessarily reflect yours, or, you know, somebody's story about how they're going through all of this and that. And I've learned that those impressions that I get as I'm consuming that social media content, that kind of leaves like a bad taste in my mouth, more so than a lot of people, because I feel like a lot of people nowadays are so desensitized, and they're just desensitized, and they don't feel as deeply as someone other person might over something that they read. They might only feel deeply for things around their surroundings and their environment, right? And I think it's really amazing, and it's a beautiful thing to be able to feel, you know, the next level of sympathy for something that you're not experiencing and that isn't in your immediate environment. But at the same time, if it's depleting you and if it's taking the energy from you that you need in order to expand on your own reality and in order to work towards your goals, or just, you know, handle your day-to-day and be balanced, then I don't think that it's worth your peace of mind at that point. Another boundary that empaths have to set is with the people around them, because just as we're empaths, there's also, you know, the opposite spectrum, or like the people who don't really take as much time out of their day to think about others. And that's their right, you know, just as it's my right to take back some of the energy that I was placing in those relationships and in those areas, in order to place that and to give that towards myself, so I have the time, energy, and just mood in order to carry out my own tasks, in order to worry about my own little things, and just like reserve a little bit more energy for myself. It's been hard for me to set this last boundary, and I guess maybe I haven't even verbalized it to a lot of people around me as of yet, because I guess this is a recent boundary. But basically, when I agree to plans with people, I really like to know what that's gonna entail, as far as how many people will be there, and if I am going to enjoy the activity or not, because I find in the past I have sacrificed my comfortability and my time, my money, my energy to kind of satisfy others' social needs. And let me just clarify, it's kind of like if your friend invites you to go to a shooting range and you don't like that, but you still go because you want to be social and because you want to be a people pleaser. So you go, and then you get there, and then there's people there that you didn't necessarily know were going to go, that you might not necessarily agree with, or whatever the case is. And then you'll leave that social event depleted of your time, energy, and let's say money as well. And then you kind of just feel like disappointed in a way that you went through with that. And it's gonna continue to repeat itself if you're not, number one, setting boundaries, and number two, not addressing your own things that you have to deal with, so that you're comfortable with just being with your own self. Sometimes you say yes just out of not wanting to be alone. Apparently an indication of you being an empath is also needing time to recharge, and your social battery and all that stuff, which I feel like we all do need time to recharge your social battery. Pero pues, según Google, según psychology stuff, apparently it's a sign of being an empath. I did not want to shed light on just the negativity of being an empath. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think we're here on this earth to feel things, and the fact that you feel so much, it can be overbearing and it can be overwhelming. But how beautiful is it that you get to have different layers to life and kind of uncover different things? Just keep an eye on what you do, place your energy in, and prioritize the things, the people, and the goals, and all the things that you want to accomplish. That way you are clear on what you're going to say yes to, what you're going to say no to, what kind of people you want to be around, what kind of relationships you want to have. And then, actually use that knowledge of oh, I'm an empath, so therefore I move this way, I do this, and I restrict this, as opposed to being I'm an empath and that's why people take advantage of me. I'm an empath and that's why, I go through it every week. No, that's not what we're here to do on this earth. We're here to live our best possible outcome. And yeah, that's gonna be all for today. Let me know if you guys like these type of videos. En lo personal, a mí me gustan these type of videos because I could be barriendo, trapeando, I could be doing laundry, or just washing dishes, and I don't have to touch my phone and try to look for a separate video, or I don't have to necessarily be looking, you know what I mean? So I think that's why I love kind of these talk videos. Let me know if you guys like them down below, and I'll see you guys next time. I hope you're doing amazing, y los veo la próxima.